what does it mean to speak from the heart? As I understand it, as I teach it in a whole heart connection context, it has nothing to do with the words you choose. Well, that's not completely true. I will mention something about that towards the end, but it's not mainly about the words that we choose. It's about literally communicating in such a way that our voice is carrying the vibration of our heart. Our voice could come from a lot of different places in our body and carry the vibration of different places. It could come from our whiny inner child down below, and I might be giving a lecture on nuclear physics, but you'll still be feeling this feeling that, I don't know, and you probably won't hire me for the job. Okay, so it could be coming from down there. Our voice could be coming from our head. And when our voice is coming from our head, then you have a clear sense of, well, I don't know what it is you have a clear sense of, but you can be spoken to from up here. And when somebody's telling you things from up here, it's very different in how it lands in another person's body if it's coming from the heart, the sound of the heart. There are a lot of reasons for this. Every person has an electromagnetic field. The earth has an electromagnetic field, and living beings have electromagnetic fields. The center of the electromagnetic field is kind of shaped like a donut or a torus, not like this kind of torus, but it's basically a donut shape. And the donut hole is the heart. It's the center of our electromagnetic field. It's where electromagnetic fields entrain, is from the heart to the heart. We connect that way. An example of this is birds in a flock moving together, or fish schooling up. And research scientists have studied this and discovered that neuromuscular reaction time absolutely cannot explain how bird over here turns at the same time as bird over here. It's not like, oh, Joe's going left, think I'll go left. It's like, we've all seen this somewhere. At least most people have seen this. It's also how really good jazz bands work, or really amazing basketball teams. There's something that happens that's called entrainment when you and you and you and you and you and you and I become us. The feeling of us, what I call the we space, that's electromagnetic entrainment, or, to not have to use such long words, heart connection. How do we make heart connection? One of the ways that we make it is through the vibration of the voice coming from my heart, and then wah, 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 connecting with your heart. And there's a feeling that comes when somebody speaks from the heart that, I'm going to be rude for a moment, that just doesn't happen when you're speaking from the head. It's just not the same. And I could be saying the same things. I'm not going to do it anymore. We are animals. I learned about this from veterinarians, some really cool veterinarians. It's not the words you use when you talk to that sick, upset cat with a bladder infection. It's not the words that you use when you talk to the horse that is developing asthma. Is your voice coming from the heart such that that animal, it's like they can smell your voice. You know, they're like, there's something in the voice that allows the animal to say, okay, you're okay. You do not mean me harm. In fact, you are kind. There is compassion here. There is something in a voice that is from the heart that also declares, oh, you have a heart and you're in it. Here's what I wanted to come back to about the words we use. I tried teaching this to some high-powered CEO type folk, and I'm sure not all of them are like this, but the ones that I worked with, they decided not to go with heart voice, because if you have a habit of speaking in heart voice, everybody knows when you're lying because you switch out of it. You're like, hey, I wanted to meet with you, and because I'm really interested. Like, you just like, you can't actually lie. You can be very, very tactful. You can be extremely diplomatic in heart voice, but you can't all out lie. And animals, and we are animals, know that. So there's an instant trust that happens when somebody is speaking from the heart. There's an instant trust because even if nobody ever mentioned it before, we know that this is the sound that comes from the heart, and that you don't lie when you sound like that. It also is immensely painful to say mean things in heart voice. I'm not going to demo it because I've tried, and it just hurts. It just hurts right in the heart if you try to say something that's judgmental or uncompassionate with somebody. And so there's a lot of time when, if we take on the practice of speaking in heart voice, it actually is a spiritual practice as well as a physical and medical practice. It will change your heart. Your heart, I mean, I have seen this with clients with cardiac illnesses. Speaking in heart voice will change the tissue of your heart. But it is also a spiritual practice in that there you are in front of this person, and part of you is like, and you like, and you're like, how do I say what I want to say to you? And what will come out if you stay with heart voice, the other person will be able to feel and hear the sound of, I do not mean to hurt you. I may be saying some challenging things about your parking and how it blocks 3 other people from being able to park their car. And that may be very hard for them to hear. But their animal body is so much less likely to go into defensive mode or endangerment mode because they can hear the sound of, I do not mean to hurt you. I have taught this to remedial math teachers with incredible effect. When remedial math teachers teach math to remedial math students who usually have a great deal of anxiety and shame over the fact that they are remedial math students, and here it comes, speaking in heart voice, speaking from the heart, allows them to be a healing presence with their students and allow the person to come out of that limbic space into the place where their higher cortical functions can actually flourish and learning can take place. In speaking to our children, children respond very, very differently to being spoken to from the heart than from any other place, including sweet wheedling. Come on, we need to go to Emma's, and we know we need to get there, right? It's like they don't actually feel met. That's manipulative. It's not sincere. And we can be much more direct in our speaking with our children and even say things like, Mama is having a really hard day. I really need us to get to Grandma's pretty soon so that I can sit while you and Grandma play. And little kid is like, oh, I'm being met. This is real. Okay. Everything that I'm saying, I don't want to be like, please road test this. And please come to play with us. We will have a rubber chicken around because it does feel sometimes a little silly at first. However, what better place to practice speaking from the heart, which again is not about the words, than in a group of people who are doing things like going, ah, 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 and comparing that with ah, 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 or and actually learning the physiology of the open heart in order to learn speaking from the heart and practicing on things like, want to go to lunch on Thursday? Or I need change of a 20. Or where should I park my car? Warning, one of the side effects of practicing speaking from the heart is an inexplicable, unexplainable joy. It just feels so good as the heart expands, saying these things and looking at each other and feeling what it feels like to be spoken to from the heart. It's absolutely delightful. Come and find out and see how it then translates out into your life. There may be relationships that go very, very differently once you start speaking in heart voice.